Oh, great, okay.
With a costume or
Okay, you can stay with me.
I want to get some pictures of something.
They tell us, sir, that we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable an enemy. But when shall we be stronger? Will it be next week? Will it be next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed and there is a British guard in every house?
No.
Shall we gather strength by irresolution and inaction? Sir, we are not weak if we make proper use of those means which the God of nature has placed in our power. The millions of people armed with the holy cause of liberty, and in such a country as we possess, shall not fight the battle alone. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations. We will not fight our battles alone. He will raise up friends to fight our battles for us. The battle, sir, is not to the strong alone. It is to the vigilant, the active, the brave. There is no retreat, but submission and slavery. Our chains are forged. Their clanking can be heard on the plains of Boston. The war is inevitable. Let it come. I say, let it come.
Lift up your hands, ye heroes, and swear with proud disdain. The wretch that would ensnare you shall lay his snares in vain. Should Europe empty all her force, we'll meet her in array, and fight and shout and shout and fight for North America.
Out your
And ye heroes, and swear with proud disdain, the wretch that would ensnare you shall lay his snares in vain. Should Europe empty all her force, we'll meet her in array, and fight and shout and fight for North America.
We led fair Franklin hither, and though the desert smiled, a paradise of pleasure was open to the world. Your harvest full, Americans, no power shall snatch away. Huzzah, 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 huzzah for free America.
Torn from the world of tyrants beneath this western sky, we formed a new dominion, a land of liberty. The world shall own we're masters here, then hasten on the day. Huzzah, 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 huzzah for free America.
Some future day shall crown us the masters of the main. Our fleet shall speak in thunder to England, France, and Spain. The nations o'er the ocean spread shall tremble and obey. The sons, the sons, the sons, the sons of brave America.
It is vain, sir, to extenuate the matter. Gentlemen may cry peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war is already begun. Our brethren are in the field. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the sound of resounding arms. Why stand we here idle? What is it the gentlemen wish? What is it that they would have? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? I forbid it, Almighty God! I know what course others may take, But as for me, give me liberty or give me death!
Huzzah! Huzzah!
Yeah!
What a poor hath old England of folly and sin, spite of Chatham and Camden Bar, Berks, Wilkes and Glyn. Not content with the Game Act, they taxed fish and sea, and America drenched with hot water and tea. Derry down, 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 Derry down. But if the wise council of England doth think they may be enslaved by the power of drink, their right to enforce it, but then do you see, the colonies too may refuse and be free. Derry down, 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 Derry down. There's no knowing where this oppression will stop. Some say there's no cure but a capital chop, and that I believe each American's wish, since you've drenched 'em with tea and deprived 'em of fish. Derry down, 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 Derry down. Then freedom's the word both at home and abroad. So out with each scabbard that hides a good sword. Our forefathers gave us this freedom in hand, and will die in defense of the rights of this land. Derry down, 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 Derry down.
As British taxes increased, so did the colonial resistance. Colonists resented the Sugar Act and the Currency Act, both passed in 1764. The Sons of Liberty rioted in the streets of Boston to protest passage of the Stamp Act in 1765. The Revenue Act of 1767 further inflamed the colonists. The Tea Act of 1773, which made it possible for the British East Indian Company to sell its tea in America at prices well below those of American tea merchants, inspired angry colonists to throw British East India tea into Boston Harbor. Similar tea parties took place up and down the coast.
There was a rich lady lived over the sea, and she was an island queen. Her daughter lived up in the new country, with an ocean of water between, with an ocean of water between.
The old lady's pockets were filled with gold, yet never contented was she. So she ordered her daughter to pay her a tax, a threepence a pound on the tea, a threepence a pound on the tea.
Oh, mother, dear mother, the daughter replied, I'll not do the thing that you ask. I'm willing to pay a fair price of the tea, but never the threepenny tax, but never the threepenny tax.
You shall, cried the mother, and reddened with rage, for you're my own daughter, you see. And it's only proper that daughter should pay her mother a tax on the tea, her mother a tax on the tea.
She ordered her servant to come up to her, and to wrap up a package of tea. And eager for threepence a pound she put in, enough for a large family, enough for a large family. The tea was conveyed to her daughter's own door, all down by the ocean side. But the bouncing girl poured out every pound on the dark and the boiling tide, on the dark and boiling tide.
And then she called out to the island queen, Oh, mother, dear mother, called she, your tea you may have when 'tis steeped enough
us as true.
Oft did America foresee with sad dismay her slavery near. Oft did her grieved state, but Britain falsely great, urging her desperate fate, turned a deaf ear. We'll fear no tyrant's blood, nor stern oppression's rod, till time's no more. Thus liberty, when driven from your estates, is given a safe retreat, and still on our free soil. Abigail Adams, 1776. My hand and heart, she says, still tremble at this domestic fury and fierce civil strife. I feel for the unhappy wretches who do not know where to fly for succor. I feel still for my bleeding countrymen who are hazarding their lives and their limbs. To the agonized hearts of thousands of women who went the roar of the cannon booming over those fields, may a bosom joined in breathing that prayer. Almighty God, cover the heads of our countrymen and be a shield to our dear friends. Here I sit on Buttermilk Hill. Who could blame me cry my fill, and every tear would turn a bill. Johnny has gone for a soldier. And only time will heal my wound. Johnny has gone for a soldier. I'll sell my clock, I'll sell my reel, likewise I'll sell my spinning wheel, to buy my love a sword of steel. Johnny has gone for a
On July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was approved by the Continental Congress. It would not be in New Hampshire for another week or so when the Zion King would be delivered here by horseback. But it was the practice after it was arrived to be read in every town square. New Hampshire, after John Hancock, the president of the convention, was given the honor of being the first to sign, because in fact, the battle started here, the Battle of Fort William and Mary. We were the first to drop the English flag. We hold these truths to be self-evident. rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundations upon such principles and organizing its powers in such form as shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such now is the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having the direct design of establishing an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let the facts be submitted to a candid world. Publication of Yankee Doodle is believed to have been in the New York Journal, October 12, 1768. As hostilities between the British and the American soldiers began, the British sang, "Yankee Doodle came to town for to buy a forelock. We will tar and feather him, and so will we, John Hancock." American soldiers adopted the Yankee Doodle tune as their own and sang it as the British retreated to Concord and Lexington. They also made up verses of their own, making fun of their own officers, including George Washington.
There came General Washington upon a snow-white charger. He looked as big as all outdoors and thought that he
Captain Goodwin, and there we saw the men and boys as thick as hasty pudding.
And there we saw 1,000 men as rich as Squire David, and what they wasted every day, I wish it could be saved. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy.
And there they fight away like fun and play on cornstalk fiddles, and some had ribbons red as blood around their middle.
Uncle Sam came there to change some pancakes and some onions, from molasses cakes to carry home to give his wife and young'uns.
Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy.
And there they had a swamping gun as large as a log of maple, upon a deuced little cart, a load for father's cattle.
And every time they'd shoot it off, it took a horn of powder. It made a noise like father's gun, only a nation louder. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. There was Captain Washington upon a strapping stallion, and giving orders to his men, I guess there was a million. Then came General Washington upon a snow-white charger. He looked as big as all outdoors and thought that he was larger. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. Yankee Doodle is the tune Americans delight in, to whistle, sing, or play, and it's just the thing for fighting. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Amen.
After more than 6 years of war, General Washington was able to force the surrender of Lord General Cornwallis at Yorktown, the principal British force in America. With that began 2 years of negotiation between the government of the United States and Great fishing off the shores of what we now call Nova Scotia and the British Indies. We then set about establishing a new government. We organized under the Articles of Confederation. And for the next 6 years, we operated under a government that had no separation of powers. It was incapable of collecting the taxes it needed for its operations or to pay its debts. And border wars were erupting between the states. And so we set about it again. And we drafted a new constitution in 1787. In 1789, June 21st, New Hampshire became the 9th state to ratify that constitution and so put it into force. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountains' majesties, above all fruit and grain, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
We would ask you please to stand and join us in the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Happy 4th of July! Good job. I want to thank you for coming, and I want to especially thank Dan Itza, Representative Dan Itza, who came out today and helped us with the readings. Dan, you also have something that you want to share.
I do. I want to share more than just what we talked about. New Hampshire really was the tip of the spear when it came to American liberty. We have what I judge to be the best statement of American liberty, our own state constitution. I want to read to you Part 1, Article 7. The people of this state have the sole and exclusive right of governing themselves as a free, sovereign, and independent state, and do and forever hereafter shall exercise every power, jurisdiction, and right pertaining thereto, which is not, or may not hereafter be by them expressly delegated to the United States of America in Congress assembled. That was, that's okay. That was